Here.
Katie Gallagher.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Tom Murphy.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Okay, will everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have minutes to approve from our meeting of October 15th, and I've got one slight correction on page 5 in the second paragraph, third line down where it says 1991. It should just be, it's 19.91. It's $19.91. Are there any other corrections? Okay, we need a motion then to approve as amended.
Motion to approve as amended?
Second.
To approve the minutes as amended, Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Abstain.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Okay, and there was a safety committee meeting last Thursday, and because of information that was gleaned from that meeting, we are going to reconsider the objection to the liquor permit for the AMC at Ridge Park Square. So we need to amend our agenda to add that on this evening. Would you like to make a motion, Mr. Murphy?
Yes, I do. I'd like to amend the agenda to reconsider the liquor permit objection for Ridge Park Square.
Second?
To amend the agenda, Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Okay, and before we begin our public session, I would like to welcome and introduce a couple members from the Brooklyn Pack 319 Cub Scouts, Cole Greenway, Brandon Hinkie, and their leader, Jason Greenway. Do you want to stand up and be recognized? These young men are working towards earning their citizenship badge, and they met with myself and Councilman Ron Van Kirk prior to the meeting to learn about the legislative branch of government. So welcome, boys. Next, we'll have our public session. If anyone has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and please observe our 5-minute time limit.
Jerry Brown, 4790 Elizabeth Lane. First, your property taxes will be reduced if the levy fails, but the school board and administration won't admit that to you. I came to City Council to provide facts to the public and warn you. You may get wrong answers on issues like I did if you contact them. There's a barrage of levies following this renewal levy. As Superintendent Walker put it, there are renewals coming up. Boom, boom, boom. The administration hasn't told you how much they will cost you, how long they are for, or when they will be on a ballot. This is typical of them. I will remind Mr. DeMarco I made it clear to anyone who was paying attention that it was the superintendent herself who said she and Marty Farian told voters about the current renewal after they got their campus bond and a new permanent operating levy. They put their campus, an idea they said they would abandon, an artificial turf with 36 years of taxes, ahead of their obligation to meet the basic needs for operation. Superintendent Walker's reference to the renewal levy as promised money is an insult. It is insulting to think they expect the community to believe that in 2008 there was some unwritten, unspoken pact with the public that entitled them to the money from future levies, as if it was owed to them, that it would always be there for the taking. Renewals are not automatic following levies and can be converted or stopped. The administration and the board set the terms initially. An emergency levy to last 5 years with a fixed amount. The title emergency levy speaks for itself. There were other options for them in 2008, but that is what they asked for. that they anticipated getting money from a levy beyond its termination as a result of bad planning based on an assumption. Here's something from another website of a district that has a renewal levy. The district has to forecast 5 years out. With a 3-year renewal levy, the district has to take the revenue generated from the levy off their books every 3rd year in order to plan, because passage is not automatic and cannot be counted on. The voters owe the school board and administration nothing regarding the renewal and have nothing to feel guilty about. The superintendent has the audacity to claim there was a promise that never existed. That doesn't sound like thankful to me. Finally, there was a letter written by Superintendent Walker and Marty Farian to a state senator and a state representative around the middle of 2011. A portion of it reads as follows. The Brooklyn Board of Education and Administration, in consideration of the economic times and the impact a levy has on both our homeowners and our businesses, have chosen not to move forward with a bond issue to build a much-needed middle school. Furthermore, we have chosen not to seek additional revenue from our taxpayers in the foreseeable future. So, let's recap. The board and administration went from A, putting a campus plan on a ballot, to B, saying we heard you and we will abandon the campus idea, rebuild the middle school, renovate Brookridge, save you money, and put that new plan on the ballot the following year. But they didn't. Instead, they went to C, telling high-ranking government officials there would be no bond issue and no additional taxes because it's too hard on the community. And then finally, D, putting a campus plan back on a ballot with a new middle school, new elementary school, artificial turf, maximum amount of taxes for 36 years, and a new permanent levy. A campus plan was the only choice you were given to vote on to improve school facilities, even though they themselves told you they were going to give you other options that would have saved money.
Mr. Brown, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. After all the board and administration has said and done, can you trust that the renewal is necessary on top of the new permanent levy and all those coming up? When people are driven by their own self-serving agenda, they will say and do just about anything, regardless of the impact or risk to the community. Their actions created this needless dilemma that we were misled into becoming unwilling participants of. The obligation and accountability falls on them to solve it, not the voters. Keep that in mind November 5th.
Mr. Dansky is running the meeting. Okay.
Todd Hopkins, 642 Redstone Circle, Brunswick, Ohio. I'm the Assistant Treasurer and Technology Coordinator with Brooklyn City Schools. Again, I will try not to make this a reoccurring theme for council, but Mr. Brown, I again would like to invite you to come in to meet with any of the administration of Brooklyn City Schools to answer your questions that you have. You know, the one thing, I think we can have a much better conversation instead of trying to hash this out in a one-way dialogue in front of council. So I do ask you to please come in. As for the community, I will, you know, we are very thankful for what we have. Even for a broken system that the state of Ohio has chosen to use. Emergency levies are not necessarily for the word emergency. It is the way that you fund what's called a fixed sum, a fixed amount of money. Again, if I could get into Columbus or if I get the ear of somebody in Columbus, I think we can have all kinds of changes to the way the election system is run or the wording on ballots. But we are very thankful for what we have. We have a school district that serves roughly 1,500 students every day, students in this community, students who will grow up to serve this community and other communities, students who have the potential to be anything that you can imagine at this point. We are thankful for those students. We are thankful for our residents. We're thankful for the support of City Council. And we are thankful for the community as a whole, businesses, residents, and the voters who will come out, we do ask for your support on November 5th. This is an important issue. We do, unfortunately, have renewal levies that will be coming up year after year. You asked for when the next one offhand is next year, unfortunately. Again, we're in a cycle that we do have to ask for those renewals, but I think that it's self-serving when you say that our administration, or Ms. Walker specifically, has her own self-serving agenda. I believe that if you take the time to meet with her and speak with her, you'll understand that that's the very farthest thing that she's trying to do. But I appreciate your time, Council. I ask for your support, and thank you for your continued support.
Tom Adamski, 9625 Melody Lane, former school board member, block watch captain of all homes south of I-480 and from Summer Lane to North Cliff, west to east. I'm going to make a few comments addressed to Mr. Brown personally. I am no longer a school board member, but as a concerned citizen, this is a critical issue. I've said it before and I'll say it again. And listen to what I say. If this levy fails, then every citizen, every resident in Brooklyn will find their taxes increased 12.5%. You ask the question why. Governor Kasich put a rider in his budget that if the renewal levy fails, then the school board has no option but to go to the ballot for a replacement levy. A replacement levy is considered new monies. And as such, in new monies, then the grandfather clause of the Homestead Act for 12.5% will be lost. Your taxes will go up 12.5%. Regarding to Mr. Brown's comment about false information, misleading information, 100% wrong in my opinion. I respect his opinion to say negative, and that's what we live for. But he's wrong. He's been personally invited by me originally when he made a statement that if he would volunteer his services to be on the Finance Committee to oversee the bond issue, I would volunteer my time. His reply, I don't have time. At the last council meeting also afterwards, as he stepped out, Mr. Hopkins said, we would like to invite you. Mr. Brown declined. Any resident can make a phone call to either the administration or to your school board member that represents your interest. I bring up the issue about the bond issue, and I remind people that when there was federal stimulus money, Brooklyn could have received $13 million to have a new construction, but the residents turned it down. I address my comments personally to Mr. Murphy. I say Mr. Murphy because, in my opinion, he does not deserve to be called Councilman Murphy. At the safety meeting, October 23rd, I found out about the meeting.
Mr. Adamski, I just want to remind you that in our rules, you cannot impugn the integrity of a council
I am not
member.
impugning integrity. I am repeating
I'm not
what
going to get back and forth. I'm just pointing it out.
repeating
Go
what
ahead.
transpired by Mr. Murphy's actions that I consider a misconduct. And if you don't want me to say the words, then I'll make it very simple. As the council president, when you attend it only as a council member. Mr. DeMarco, who was on the committee, was absent. Mr. Van Kirk was the only one. For his actions that he addressed to me, got one personal resident who's a friend so upset, he walked out of his chair. He walked to the middle of the aisle and confronted Mr. Murphy. At the same time he was making his comments to Mr. Murphy to show the disrespect to me, he saw Colleen Gallagher, and he mistook her facial expression that she was laughing at me. On the contrary, she was dismayed at Mr. Murphy's actions. And that I asked, as a citizen, and as you now, I'm council president, to remove Mr. Murphy from chairmanship, from the safety committee. He does not represent the betterment for the financial and economic stability of this city. And that's quite evident by his position not to support a renewal levy that does not increase taxes. And now every resident will be in jeopardy because if 11 people, if there's not a good turnout, 11 people is going to determine the future of the school. That jeopardizes the juniors and the seniors, because all electives will have to be canceled as of January 1st. That's roughly a $1.25 million cut. At the end of the school year, the school board will have to cut another $1.25 million. Now that jeopardizes freshmen, sophomore, all the way up. The decision is to us citizens. Yes, people are hurting. There's no doubt about it. I'm hurting. But when I take my time to come to the meeting, the safety meeting, and it was very difficult for me to sit because I'm recovering from back surgery, a major back surgery. But I am concerned, and I expressed that. And I said to Mr. Murphy, there was two things I wanted to talk about. To put a stop sign on Idlewood and Melody Lane. And I used the word reckless driving because in the past,
Adamski, you have 30 seconds.
the past is always the excuse this. I address my comments now to Mayor Balbier. Mayor, you saw what transpired. I asked your position to take over because I do not believe Mr. Murphy can only look at the problem. I'm asking you to direct the problem as our officer, as the mayor, and also as a former police officer. We went through the pros and cons about speed bumps, about cameras, etc. You know where I stand. You heard my counter to that. I ask for you to move on it, sir, and I will give you 5 months. If I don't get a response, and this is no threat, I will initiate a petition drive. I am only one
5
person.
minutes is
I
up.
ask every resident in Idlewood and that lives in the adjoining streets to call.
Tom, I'm going to address all that when it's my turn to speak.
Thank you, Mayor.
Doug Nafziger, 9594 Melody Lane. And my concern is the reckless driving coming down my road. Just last week, it was on the news. Another neighborhood just over here off of Denison, a 5-year-old kid hit and run, killed him. And they've been complaining for years about the same thing we are complaining about. Okay? Do we want to do something now, or do we want to wait until we're sitting in the position they're sitting in now with a dead child? I don't think you guys want a dead child on your hand. I really don't. And that's where I'm putting it, in your hands. Anything happens to any child, anybody on that street, a senior, anything, I'm coming after you. It is your responsibility to make sure everybody in our neighborhood is safe. And I ask that you do that because it's not safe. There's many different ways you can control the traffic. You know, the reckless driving. You know, you can go with cameras. You know, there's speed bumps. Cameras can bring a lot of revenue to us, into our city. I'm not against it being there. You know, Cleveland's put 3 of them in action that are mobile. They can move them around wherever they want and place them. They've been there, I think it was not even 3 months, and brought in $2 million. Good revenue. That's good revenue. You know, you can move them all around the town. You know, it don't bother me because I don't speed. And I'm not going to speed through these neighborhoods. It's foolish. You know, it is really foolish for the people that do it. You know, somebody's going to get hurt. It's just a matter of time. We've already had a child get killed from the ice cream truck. We no longer allow ice cream trucks in the city of Brooklyn anymore, do we? Okay. It's not much difference there. Very, very, very little difference. You know, we got to do something to control this and get it under control. It is way out of control when people are flying 45 and 50 down that street. And that is no exaggeration. You know, early in the morning when kids are going to school and stuff, they're people going to work, cutting through there, easily doing 50. Easy. You know, trying to make it to work because they're running late. You know, hey, you're running late. Don't endanger everybody's lives around you by driving recklessly. Because it's not just anybody walking on the street if you, if you lose control. It's other cars hitting another car, hitting a telephone pole, you know. It's just unacceptable, and something's got to be done. It's gotten way out of hand. You know, and I asked it before something like that happens over here in Cleveland last week, before it happens in our neighborhood. Let's do something, please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Earl Blum, 4720 Forest Edge Drive. I didn't intend to come up here to talk tonight. I figured people have beat the school issue enough, but after hearing the distorted comments of Mr. Brown, I think I have to say something. I'm not going to try to argue against the points, the distorted points he made.
Excuse me, Mr. Blum, can you pull the microphone down a little bit so we can all hear you?
I'm not going to argue against Mr. Brown's points. I'm just going to say this. The most important asset we have in our city is our children. We owe them the best educational opportunities that we can give them. Education costs money. The state is not going to provide all our funding needs. It costs money to provide education. If we fail this levy, we are going to deny our children educational opportunities, opportunities to participate in sports, opportunities to participate in music, and opportunities to participate in the performing arts. Let's get behind our children. If we have a problem with the administration, work with the administration to solve the problem. If you have a problem with the school board, work with the school board to solve the problem. Let's not punish our children. They deserve the best educational opportunities we can give them, and it takes money on our part to provide it to them. If this levy fails, they are going to suffer. So I urge everyone to support this levy that's coming up. Let's support our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lou Changari. I live at 8972 Trail Run in Brooklyn, Ohio. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or whatever. I want to make a few quotes. From the Constitution of the United States, it says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution to the United States." Amendment 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably to assemble to petition the government for redress of grievances. These words are part of the reason why we, you and me, have the right to stand up and express our opinions, whether pro or con, or whether these opinions be political or otherwise. The Constitution is our book of rules or laws that we all try to abide by. This is one of the reasons that makes the United States of America so great. The Constitution also gives us the right to try and sway your thinking to our point of view. Unfortunately, sometimes a word or sentence are added or omitted to make their presentations to the pro or con of the issue at hand. Everyone tries to sway or to move you to their side or to get you on their bandwagon. They try to get you to agree and, when possible, to vote their point of view. Each and every one of us, however, has to research that data for ourselves. Speaking of voting, it's free, doesn't cost a penny. We live in one of the few countries that gives us the right to vote or not to vote. What's really neat is we don't have to disclose how we voted to anyone. Please remember, the power of the people is your right to cast a vote. And remember, if you don't vote, don't complain about the outcome of the issues. Election Day is Tuesday, November the 5th. Get out and vote. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn? Okay, we will, excuse me, move forward. We'll now have reports of committees, commissions, and boards. The first is the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee did meet earlier this evening. We did meet at 6:15 because we were having some of our Cub Scouts come in at 6:40 this evening. There were 2 items on our agenda relating to finance that we did recommend approval of, and when they are on the floor, I will elaborate on the details of that, and that's to avoid being redundant. Okay, next is the Recreation Board, Mr. Tansky.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. The Brooklyn Recreation Board meeting was held on October 21st. City of Brooklyn official trick-or-treat hours are Thursday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. The Halloween safety rules are as follows. Always use common sense. Trick-or-treat with an adult. Never trick-or-treat alone. Make sure that you are wearing a flame retardant costume. Plan your entire route. Make sure your family knows what it is. Wait until you get home and have your parents check your candy before you eat it. Be very cautious of strangers. Accept treats only in the doorway. Never go inside a house. Be sure to say thank you for your treats. Don't play near jack-o'-lanterns. Visit only houses where lights are on. Walk, don't run. Cross the street at the corner or in a crosswalk. Walk on the sidewalks and driveways. If a person calls you to their car and you don't know them, walk away and tell an adult. Wear a costume with reflective markings in bright colors. The Brook Recreation Center Learn to Skate registration starts October 31st. Classes start November 6th, 8th, and 9th. Classes are available for children ages 3 and up and adults ages 16 and up. 8-week sessions, 30-minute class plus 30 minutes free practice time. Brooklyn residents $42, non-residents $57. For complete schedules, visit www.brooklynskating.com. Questions, email us at brooklynskating@gmail.com or call Elizabeth 216-870-3303. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter under Brooklyn Blades. Next Recreation Board meeting will be on November 18th at 7 p.m. in the Mayor's Court. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tansky. Next is Domestic Violence, Councilwoman Gallagher.
The next meeting of the Brooklyn Domestic Abuse Commission will be held Wednesday, October 30th at 7:00 p.m. at the Brooklyn Senior Community Center. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is Safety Committee, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Not only did we discuss at length the liquor permit at Ridge Park Square, we also had a lengthy and heartfelt discussion and potential solutions to the speeding on Idlewood. The law director and chief were and are looking into solutions, and some action has been taken, and I'd appreciate a comment when it comes your turn, Chief, into solutions that would be legal as well as effective. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Next is the Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Council President. At the Board of Zoning Code Appeals regular scheduled meeting of October 17, 2013, the board decided to grant a 45-foot side yard variance and a 38-foot rear yard variance to the Loving Cup Daycare located at 4776 Ridge Road for a new building addition. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Planning Commission, Councilwoman Katie Gallagher.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. The Planning Commission will meet Thursday, November 7th at 6 p.m. at the Brooklyn City Hall Conference Room located at 7619 Memphis Avenue to hear the following. A request from Alexander Disco for a similar use to a permitted use approval for a relaxation massage business located at 7405 Memphis Avenue. A request from Robert Senkar, MVM Ohio LLC for a conditional use approval to occupy an existing vacant building located at 5020 Tiedemann Road with a Buffalo Wild Wings. A request from Watkins Lighting and Signs and Company to install a 37.5 square foot illuminated channel letter sign on the building front located at 7305 North Cliff Avenue for identification of H&R Block. A request from Archer Sign Corporation to install an illuminated freestanding sign panel replacement located at 8500 Clinton Road for identification of Ziegler Tire. A request from Neon and Signs to install a wall-mounted illuminated channel letter sign on the building front located at 4782 Ridge Road for the identification of Love Threading Bar. A request from Brooklyn Compass LLC for a preliminary site plan approval to construct a 2,700 square foot building for the Title Bucks located at 10800 Brook Park Road. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to reports of council, and this evening we begin with Mrs. Colleen Gallagher.
Good evening. I was able to attend the safety meeting last Thursday chaired by Councilman Tom Murphy. I'd like to thank Tom for scheduling the meeting to address my concerns with the AMC Theater, security at Ridge Park Square, and speeding on Idlewood Drive. Especially thanks to Shannon Blackwell, President and Managing Owner of the Ridge Park Square. Mr. Blackwell has been very responsive to the city official, and it has been a pleasure to work with him through the years. Noel McDonald, Vice President of Food Beverage, explained the $4.2 million renovation of the AMC and explained the concept of serving alcohol and food at the theater. Since this meeting, I have reconsidered my objection to the liquor permit. I only wish this gentleman was available at the beginning to address my concerns. We also heard from the many residents in the area of Idlewood Drive regarding speeding. This has been a problem for many years. We've talked in the past about a stop sign, traffic camera, and a child getting hit by a car. It's time the mayor, council members, and the police chief sit down and come up with a solution before somebody gets killed by a car. And Mr. Adamski, I was dismayed at the order of the meeting. By yelling, nobody wins. And there was a lot of people yelling, and that's what I was dismayed at. And lastly, I urge my friends and supporters to stand with me to support the renewal levy. The renewal levy is vital to this community. This is not new money. So please, I encourage everyone to support this renewal levy. Thank you, and that completes my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Katie Gallagher?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the residents who came up to speak about the speeding on Idlewood. I brought this up at the last council meeting, and I was told by a resident that the police presence in the area has made the situation a little bit better, but we still need to find a long-term solution for this. I also attended the safety committee meeting this past Thursday. AMC executives were in attendance, traveling as far away as Kansas City to help explain their renovation concepts for the movie theater at Ridge Park Square. As you may have read in the paper, AMC is planning a very large renovation project for their Brooklyn and Rocky River movie theaters. They explained the total renovation cost of this project is $4.2 million. I am hoping that with this explanation from our police chief, our law director, and the AMC executives, there's a new light to this project, and I'm optimistic that this will turn out to be a great renovation for our city. I noticed in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, our recreation manager, Maria McGinty, was interviewed as part of the 5 Questions with the City Director column. If you ever had a chance to look at these interviews, it's interesting to read the responses from the various city directors because there are some great ideas. Ms. McGinty did a wonderful job representing Brooklyn in this article. House Bill 274, or Goddard's Law, is in the Ohio House right now. This makes it the first offense of knowingly injuring or killing a companion animal or depriving it of food, water, or shelter, a 5th-degree felony punishable by 6 months to a year in jail. As a pet owner and a representative of many pet owners, I think council should consider passing a resolution supporting this bill. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Tansky.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Good evening. I want to thank Brooklyn City Schools Superintendent Cynthia Walker and also Marty Farian for their time to talk with me in regards to the upcoming school levy. I also want to explain a few things to the school board and the administration concerning the school levy. First, I want to say that I'm supporting the renewal levy. I truly believe the city of Brooklyn needs a strong school system. I also don't want the residents to get hit with a 12.5% increase if the school levy fails, then passes at a later date, causing a percentage increase to the residents. I do have a few issues, along with many residents, that I've encountered when walking door to door. I will not go into detail on these issues. However, I sincerely hope, after this election and in the near future, that these issues can be addressed with full participation from all sides, so that when future renewals are presented, that we do not find ourselves facing these same problems. The last levy failed because many residents are not on the same page with the Brooklyn City Schools. Some residents are on a strapped budget and having to struggle with choosing between their medications and food. Now we're asking the same residents to pass our renewal levy. I believe I'm the only sitting council member that has a child in the Brooklyn school system, so I'm greatly vested and concerned about this issue. However, I also represent the entire city as well. And if I see legitimate concerns that arise and can cause problems now or in the future, whether it be renewals or tax increases, no matter if it's popular or not, I'm going to voice my personal opinion. I enjoyed many conversations as I knocked on numerous doors. I want to thank Brooklyn residents that took the time with me to share their concerns about our city. Although these are tough times for many of us, I feel that if we come together as a community, Brooklyn will continue to thrive. Don't forget to vote on November 5th if you haven't already voted by absentee ballot. Mayor, I hope you go in depth on this stop sign because these residents are banding together for a reason, and this problem is not going away. I've been down that street. They tailgate. There's no doubt about it. There has been stop signs put in Cuyahoga County on streets that only go to the left or maybe only to the right. Some are put where it only keeps going in the same direction. I believe that this street, out of all streets in Brooklyn, especially this one, they really fly down that street and they cut through to get to Biddulph. So I'm hoping that you take charge of this matter before there's a serious accident. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. About 8 weeks ago, I said I was not backing the renewal. Since then, this issue has expanded to include me. Keep your eye on the issue. I'm not concerned about the threats that were made. I'm not concerned with the people. I'm concerned about the people that live here. The unemployed, the underemployed, people recovering, people on fixed incomes. We cannot sustain the high salaries at the high school. Can't be done. We have also heard that if the difference is missing a meal, then don't vote for it. Really? I'm not asking anybody to starve. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. We don't need to be told to sacrifice. We need to remind some people that they work for us. So my attitude for some of the people is to sit down and have pizza and a Coke with us, give up the steak. I'm still not backing the levy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DeMarco.
I guess I'll repeat myself. You know, this obviously is a divisive issue with the levy, and I'm not really going to go into argument on points. I would just say that it's time to do something positive for this community, something that I think we can all put our arms around and be proud of for many years to come. This is not something a 2-year or 3-year. This is a very long-term commitment, and frankly, I give the superintendent and the school board a lot of credit for coming up with a vision and a plan for our schools that I can see 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And so again, I would urge everybody to consider your situation. And at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and your family. But would ask everybody, if you can, to support the levy, as I have. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Van Kirk.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. I also was part of the safety committee meeting here this last week, and it was interesting or very encouraging to see so many residents come out for a very important issue. And as was evidenced tonight, the people in the city are very passionate about what they believe in, and that's, as Mr. Liu was up here a second ago reading from our Constitution, that's what America's all about. And so I appreciate that. I do encourage the mayor, and I know the mayor and the chief will work together on this to get this issue solved over on Idlewood. You've got the ear of council. You've got the ear of everyone up here, and so we will do something to make sure that's taken care of over there. But we have to stay within the laws, and we will be sure to do that. But thank you so much for coming. Please continue to come to our meetings. It is very encouraging. Even when we don't agree on things, it's great when people come up here and express their opinions, and I wish we had a full room every single meeting that we had to talk about things. As far as the upcoming election goes, I've said this before and I'll say it again. It is up to the residents of Brooklyn to decide what is best for this city. In August, we had 16% of voter turnout that turned out for that last levy, the renewal levy. That just cannot happen. We have to have 100% voter participation. And as Mr. Murphy said, and now as Mr. DeMarco has said, it is up to the residents of Brooklyn to sit down, to look at each and every issue that's on the ballot, look at each and every candidate that's on the ballot. There are 8 people running for council. There are 4 seats. There are 4 people running for school board. There are numerous charter amendments to the county charter on this ballot. There are also county levies that are on this ballot, along with the Brooklyn school levy. And so it's up to each resident to do their homework. And I appreciate the passion from both sides of this issue, but it's do the research yourself and to figure out what is best for you and your family, what's best for the city, and of course make sure that you come out and vote. As also part of the safety meeting, I want to thank those from AMC and also from Ridge Park Square that came out and to explain their positions, and we appreciate you being here, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. I, too, would like to encourage people to vote for the renewal levy. I have supported it from the beginning. I believe it's critical to our community. I don't want to repeat a lot of what I've said in the past meetings or what's been said here tonight, but a strong school system is a vital part of a strong community. So I respect that people are going to have a difference of opinion, but I encourage everyone to please support this renewal levy. If it does not pass, the cuts will be dramatic and it will impact our entire community, whether you have children in the community or not. And I like how Mr. Blom summed it up very succinctly, that it is our obligation as a community to provide the best educational opportunities that we can for our children, and it does cost money. This is a renewal. It is no increase in taxes. I would also like to remind everyone about the vote by mail. If you want to vote in this way, it is up to you this year to get an application. We have them at City Hall, the Senior Center, or the library. There was some confusion this year, and it's been very light because last year they sent an application to every voter in the state of Ohio. That did not happen this year, so I just want to point that out. The deadline is approaching, so if you want to vote by mail, you need to take the initiative, get the application, and send it in. I was able to attend the last half of the Safety Committee meeting that was last Thursday. I'm not on that committee, but certainly I was interested in both of the topics on the agenda. Prior to that meeting being scheduled, I had made a commitment to the media students up at Brooklyn High School to meet with them, so I needed to fulfill that obligation. We heard the concerns of the residents in the Southwood, Idlewood area relating to the excessive speed. We have had some special attention by our police officers, and I know that it has been effective. It's not a long-term solution, however. We do need to take a look at how to address this long-term. I know that people have mentioned portable cameras, and while that might be a reasonable way to address it, right now there is a move in Columbus to ban them. So what we would not want to do is go out and spend the money and then be unable to use it because they banned it in Columbus. In the meantime, I would ask our residents who drive through that area, because it is primarily residents who drive down Idlewood and Southwood, please slow down. These are, your fellow residents, your neighbors, community members, children, elderly. We do not want a tragic accident. So please slow down, and we do need to seek some sort of long-term solution to this problem, and I'm confident we'll be able to figure one out. I would also like to thank the representatives from Zeisler Morgan and AMC for attending the meeting. I appreciate that the investment that they're making in our community, and that they are making an effort to upgrade the facilities and to try and attract a different type of clientele. I was supportive of it in the beginning, so I'm glad that we're going to be reconsidering that this evening. And I, too, would like to point out, I've been on council for 16 years, and any time we have had any question or concern about anything at Ridge Park Square, Mr. Blackwell has been very responsive, has come to every meeting that we've ever asked him to come to, and has addressed all of our concerns, and I appreciate that type of cooperation. I had the pleasure of attending the Oktoberfest at the Senior Center. It was really a very nice afternoon, and I would like to thank our senior coordinator, Mrs. Rita Enovich, and the assistant coordinator, Celeste Westfall, our part-time chef, and all the volunteers who make the activities at the Senior Center possible. And I would like to thank Mr. Rob Kelber's media students at Brooklyn High School, in particular, Allie Schroeder. These students took the time to research the important issues that are relevant in our community now. They developed very thoughtful questions for candidates, and I appreciate their efforts. They were very well informed about what's going on in Brooklyn today. I just find it unfortunate that not every person who was running was able to make the time, and I do know that people have various other things going on in their life, but you would have been pleasantly surprised because these students really took a lot of time to develop very thoughtful, relevant questions. And that completes my report. Now we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Balbier.
Thank you. It's been mentioned before, but Halloween will be this Thursday from 6 to 8 in Brooklyn, and leave your porch light on if you want someone to come to your door. City Hall will be closed this Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a class that's going to be put on for the employees by the state. It was all set up by Jenny Ezere, our former finance director, so it'll be closed from 10 to 2. On North Amber, the construction has started. The cement part's been started, and hopefully by the end of next week, they'll be able to put down the blacktop. And the parking lot at the rec center should be getting started next week also. Our new finance director, Mr. Enovich, has been doing very well. He comes in my office every day with new ideas, so I'm sure we're going to be making a few changes. Also, a reminder that Ridge Road will be closed on Friday, November 1st, and Monday, November 4th, from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. for paving. That will be from Memphis to the School Drive, weather permitting. On Thursday, I received a press release that I thought was pretty important from the Cleveland Port Authority. They said that they've made an agreement with a Dutch shipping company that companies in northern Ohio, well, anywhere for that matter, will have direct access to Europe They bring their product to the Cleveland port, load it on the ship, and it'll go directly to Europe. It'll save manufacturers 4 days in shipping, and it'll save them the money for trucking and for if they're shipping on rail. So that's a pretty big thing, I think, for businesses, and we're going to make sure that our businesses know about this. On the school levy, I've been behind the school levy since day one. Today, the Sun News called me. I don't know if he's going to print everything I said, but the way I always approach any type of problem, I like to take it to the extreme. So let's say that Brooklyn had a blue ribbon school. If that happened, you had one of the best schools in the state, you wouldn't have an empty house in Brooklyn. They'd be flocking to get here. But on the other side of the spectrum, if the levy's not passed and it goes downhill, the opposite happens and more people will move out. It affects us all. So I hope that everybody takes time to vote for the levy on Tuesday. And Mr. Adamski was at the safety meeting, and I'm going to address the speeding problem. Tom called me at my home on Saturday. We had a long conversation. And basically, I mean, I'm sure every councilman up here, including myself, knows that that's like the number one complaint a councilman gets, no matter where you live, is speeding. Idlewood is definitely in that category because it's a long street and it's a shortcut to Ridge Park Square, so it gets a lot of traffic. So we discussed different ways on what to do. One was a stop sign. Mr. Adamski and his neighbors requested a stop sign be put up at Idlewood and Melody Lane. Well, the police chief and my law director advised me that we can't do that. That's illegal. You can't put up a stop sign like that just to control traffic. So they countered and said, well, there's a lot of them in Cleveland like that. Well, that doesn't make it legal, until someone challenges it. So let's say that the city did that. You put up a stop sign at Idlewood and Melody Lane, someone stops for the sign, and the next car hits them from the rear end and does damage and injury. So the police would probably give the car in the back a ticket, but I'll guarantee you both people would sue the city because you knowingly put up a stop sign that was illegal. So that makes the city liable. So I think the stop sign, we can't do that. The next thing was speed cameras. And I had a talk with the chief this morning. They've looked into speed cameras. First of all, like Mrs. Pucci said, there's legislation pending in the state. They're going to make speed, if it passes, it would make speed cameras illegal. So we wouldn't want to spend thousands of dollars, and then 6 months from now, you can't even use this useless piece of equipment. So, but there are companies that you can make a deal with. They'll set up the cameras, and they take 3% of whatever you collect. However, they just don't set them up on every street. They put up traffic surveys to see if it's worth their while. Usually, they don't put them up on side streets. Idlewood might be an exception, but usually they want them on the street with the most traffic. So I don't think that'll work either. But then they suggested, well, we could get a portable one. So the chief looked into it with Parma Heights, supposedly had one, but the only thing they have a portable a radar thing that shows you how fast you're going down the street. And we tried that a few years ago, and within 24 hours, the residents on Idlewood were calling up, get that camera out of here. Everybody's flying down the street watching their speed to see how fast they can go. So that, I think that's out of the question too. Then the thing of speed bumps came up. And I'm not in favor of speed bumps. And we tried them once in Brooklyn on the alley over here on Rodone. And there was a woman that lived there, and they were situated where she had to go over the speed bump when she left her house, had to go over the speed bump when she came in back to the house. So she wanted us to pay the $700 bill on her car because it was knocked out of line and the shocks were ruined and everything else. And then Mr. Blackwell was in the audience, and he says the city asked him to try that at Ridge Park Square, which he did, and they didn't keep them in there long either. It caused more problems than it was worth. Some elderly people kept tripping over it and falling, and cars were getting damaged and so forth too. So I don't think speed bumps is the answer either. So what does that leave left? I met with the chief today, and he's increasing. I think we should give it a try. Is our own radar. He has radar assigned there every day of the week. And then Scott told me a few things. He says, you can't leave it up there very long. If you leave it up there for half an hour, that's enough, because half the people going down the street are going to Ridge Park Square and they saw the radar car. So coming back, they're not going to speed. But we're going to set it up during every day, and we're going to try to set it up during the morning and in the evening when the most cars go by. So I asked them, how many tickets have we written there up there so far? They wrote 9 tickets in the last 2 weeks. Out of the 9, 7 of them were residents. And that's usually the way it goes, because I remember when I was on the police department, they sent me up to Outlook to watch a stop sign, and within an hour, they called me back and told me to stop. I wrote 10 tickets, and 9 of them were residents. So I understand that they shouldn't be speeding or going through the stop signs either, but I think the answer, Tom, is let's give the police department some time with their radar and see if that works, because in a small city, the word will be out in a day. Hey, they got radars up there all the time, just like Lindale always has up radar in 71. Well, let's see if that works. If it doesn't, we can have a meeting between everybody and see if we can come up with another solution. But I think we should give the police department a chance first with their radar. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one question. I'm a little concerned that we won't be answering the phone when our full-time employees are in this training. Can't we get a part-time person who's not attending the training?
Well, I'm still up in the air with it. I may leave somebody there, or we'll have the phone message on there that the city hall's closed for the 4 hours.
Okay. I would ask you to consider, if we're not leaving a full-time person, if perhaps there's like maybe a cashier from the rec center that we could, pay extra to come over here. I'd ask you to please consider that rather than not having anyone answering the phone.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you. Okay, next we move on to the reports of directors and department heads. And this evening, we'll begin with our new finance director, Mr. Enovich. Welcome.
Thank you. Madam President, members of council, I've just completed my 9th day as the city's finance director, and I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation to the mayor and the staff at City Hall. Particularly the finance department. Tina Westfall, Linda Kelber, and Joanne Haig made my entry quite easy. They've allowed me to hit the ground running, and they are hardworking, very professional, knowledgeable finance professionals. So it's my pleasure to have such a great staff to work with. Just want to give you a brief highlight of the financial condition of the city right now. A few of the numbers that I'll throw out are just kind of a general indicator of the financial health. First of all, one of the key indicators is our general fund balance. Right now, our general fund balance is $7.5 million. Now, what does that mean? That means that if we were to not receive another penny of income, any tax revenue, we'd still be able to operate the city for almost 5 months. That's an indicator that the bonding agencies all look at as relative to the success of the city. Our cash position is very strong. We have almost $21 million in cash and investments. Our unencumbered balance, which is what we have not spent relative to what council has appropriated last year, is $4,300,828. And our revenues year-to-date are $22,726,122.12. I also like to look at the distribution list from the Regional Income Tax Agency and note the top taxpayers in the withholding tax. And it's through September, our top taxpayer was American Greetings Corporated, and their withholding was $3,395,971, followed by KeyBank, Victory Capital Management, Aero Industries, The Plain Dealer, Walmart, USF, Holland, Aero International, and the Brooklyn Board of Education contributed $198,695.18 year-to-date in withholding taxes. So these are kind of the things that I'm getting my arms around, understanding the dynamics of the financial, and I'd welcome to meet with each one of you to understand more what you'd like to hear as far as report, but you'd expect me to give this type of report. This is what I give to the mayor. This is what I gave to the finance committee at each meeting. So once again, thank you, Mayor, for your patience with me these last 9 days, and I do appreciate this opportunity to serve the city of Brooklyn. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Fire Chief Zemek.
John, I thought you'd be first.
Thank you, Ms. Pucci. I just want to let everybody know that the new ambulance is slotted for completion on November 7th in Iowa, and will be transferred this way to the dealer for a couple weeks, and we expect to have it in service by December 1st. That's my
Thank you, and if you could let us know when it arrives.
Sure. I plan on having a little open
Typically-
house.
Yeah, typically, people who are interested will call and come down to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Chief Milky.
Most of my thunder's been stolen, but just a reminder about Halloween. It's Thursday from 6 to 8. Leave your light on if you want kids. Turn it off if you don't. We will have extra patrols out on Halloween to make sure that everybody's safe. And the targeted patrol on Idlewood is on, as the mayor said, so we will be hitting that kind of hard with strict enforcement, so.
Thank you. Service Director Verba.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. The City of Brooklyn would like to thank Lowe's for their generous donation of exterior paint and stain and a team of volunteers that helped stain our playground equipment at Memorial Park. We estimate that the value of their effort was $2,400 for their time and materials. The service department will be out collecting leaves. Please watch for the signs on your street that will alert you when we will be in the area. If you cannot wait for us to be by to vacuum up the leaves, you can put them in compost bags or garbage cans on your normal garbage day, and our compost truck will pick them up. And that's all I have.
Thank you. That completes the reports of the directors and department heads. We'll move on to the authorization part of our agenda. First, we will reconsider the liquor permit for AMC. And my suggestion, Mr. Clausen, if this meets with your approval, would be that we make a motion to withdraw the objection to the liquor permit. Okay, so we need a motion to withdraw the objection.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
To withdraw the objection for the liquor permit, Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
No.
Ron Van Kirk.
No.
It's withdrawn.
Okay, so the motion did carry 5-2. Thank you. Here's that back. Okay, next we have authorization for purchase of fingerprint station and software. We have a letter from Chief Milky. I'm writing to request funding to purchase a new fingerprint scanner booking station and software. Our last unit was purchased in June of 2005 and has processed over 8,700 sets of fingerprints. The unit has physically deteriorated over the years and software has not been upgraded. It has increasingly become difficult to keep the unit operational. I first requested funding in February during the budget process, and it was determined to allocate federal forfeiture funds for this purchase. I've obtained 3 quotes on a replacement unit. Due to the specialty of the units and software, comparing models and features are difficult. The first estimate was from 3M, and that was for $23,094. The second was BIM Live Scan, and that was $17,198. The third was ID Networks Live Scan for $16,995. I respectfully request the ID Networks Live Scan 500p option be funded. ID Networks is the only vendor that sells cross-match machines in Ohio. We currently use a cross-match live scan unit and software that is comparable to the new model, 500p. Purchasing this unit would assist in maintaining our current database and helping make the transition seamless. Should you have any questions, feel free to contact me, Scott Milky, Police Chief. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
To approve, Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Okay, next we have ordinance 2013-64, amending ordinance 2008-10, adopted February 25th, 2008, entitled, Establishing the Full-Time Position of Assistant Building Commissioner with Qualifications Necessary to Assist with the State of Ohio mandated commercial, industrial, and residential inspections so as to maintain state certification of the building department. We previously did have this position filled. Unfortunately, when we had a downturn in the economy and our revenue, the person in this position was laid off. What we're doing this evening is we are increasing the range for the salary. The current range is approximately $47,008 up to $51,001.60 annually. The new range will be $51,000 annually up to $61,000, payable biweekly. And the intention right now is to start looking for a person, and we anticipate that this position will not be filled until 2014. We've discussed this. This will go a long way in assisting our building commissioner, Mr. Fitzgerald, in addressing the property maintenance issues. And we want to pass this by emergency measure this evening so we can get moving on it.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
To adopt, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Next, we have ordinance 2013-65, repealing Chapter 552, Weapons Transactions of the Brooklyn Codified Ordinances. This is to, by eliminating this, we will make ourselves compliant with current state law. Is there anything further you'd like to say, Mr. Clausen?
No.
Okay. And we want to pass this by emergency measure this evening.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second?
To suspend the rules, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
To adopt, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Ordinance 2013-66, accepting the amendment to the easement with Key Bank National Association, formerly Society National Bank. And is Mr. Courtney was going to be here to explain this, or?
He's not, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Okay, Mr. Fitzgerald, if you just want to briefly summarize this for our residents.
Yeah, basically what this is, Council President, is where the building's going to be built, there's an easement.
And this is where LA Fitness is, over on the Key
I'm sorry, LA
Commons.
Fitness. What they're going to do is move the utilities over, and they need to have the amendment to the current easement to do this. So the work will be performed, and then the new easement will be in place.
Okay, and this will be at no cost to the city. They will absorb all costs in relocating the infrastructure. And we want to pass this by emergency measure this evening.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
To adopt, Colin Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Okay, that does complete our agenda. Do any other council members or the mayor? Yes, Mr. Van Kirk.
Just, Mayor, one question. You went down that list of things that over on Idlewood. You said there was a company that we could look at. Are we looking into that company at all, that private company? Have they at least looked over there to see if we could do that?
I don't think so. The chief was looking at it.
But
The reason I ask is because, I mean, I think it's great that we step up those patrols, and we should do that, but it's not gonna last forever. And then we'll be over there for a while, and then for a while it'll be fine, and then it'll go back to the way it was before. I would think that, with this company, it would be a permanent solution to this, maybe.
Like I said, the company, they send their people there first to take traffic studies.
Right, that's
And if
what I
they
mean.
don't, and if they don't think it's worth their while, they won't do it.
Right.
But I don't think we've reached that point. The chief was looking into things this morning.
Okay.
And I guess I'd just like a little bit of clarification from the chief. Aren't those cameras also governed by the ban that is currently being considered in Columbus?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That would be different.
No, it's the same thing. If they ban them, those would be banned too.
I apologize, I misunderstood.
No, that's okay, because that was not made clear.
I don't know if you've been down Memphis Avenue, but Lindale's got their traffic counters up.
Is that what those are?
In anticipation of their cameras, right,
Right.
on Memphis.
One more
Yes.
thing. Mr. Vanovich, could you say one more time, what was American Greetings withholdings to this point this year, please?
American Greetings. 3.8.
Year-to-date, 2013, $3,395,971.97.
And that's up,
And that's down $96,522.17 from last year.
is that through September 30th?
That's through September 30th.
All right, that's I don't know if you read in the Cleveland Plain Dealer, but American Greetings is moving forward with moving to Westlake, and so we again need to continue moving forward with trying to figure out something to do over there.
Contribution is about $4.5 million.
It's a huge chunk. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members have anything to say, or the mayor? Okay, if not, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
To adjourn, Colleen Gallagher?
Yes.
Katie Gallagher?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Tom Murphy?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Tony DeMarco?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.